What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Zim. That's me. Video journal episode, 75? And check it out. This is not the podcast. This is the video journal where I talk about everything that went down in my musical journey in the last week, plus more. The biggest thing, okay, so WOTS, always start out with the Word on the Street, the podcast, WOTSpodcast.com. Go check it out, yo. This last week we did version 46, which was a WOTS radio, a little bit different because I had Matt Ashworth from NotaMucho.com. We were pimping his 41 bands for 2015 fest that he put on with NotaMucho, and it's not just him, but he's kind of like the main guy of NotaMucho. And we just talked over some songs that he liked that were going to be bands and part of the fest. So it was fun. So I hope you have a chance to check it out. Do it up. One thing that came up through the process of doing the podcast, this last podcast, was trying to understand the stats of the podcast. So I have it. There's a 3-part system. There's the blog. WOTSpodcast.com is essentially a blogger page. And then, so that has its own stats. And then there's this thing called FeedBurner. I guess it's a 2-part, 3-part process. There's a thing called FeedBurner, which takes, is through Google. So is Blogger. So it takes the feed of the Blogger account and it creates a new URL for you to link it up to things like iTunes, which is important to me to have it on iTunes. So the FeedBurner stats had there was 15 downloads. I don't know at this time. There's 15 downloads, it says, or so, of the WOTS radio number 8, which was version 64. However, on the page views on the Blogger account on WOTSpodcast.com, it was up to 170 page views. So I don't understand, does that just mean people are not clicking the link? They go to the page, they go to it, and don't actually listen to it? Or does it mean there's a disconnect between what's going on? But the bottom line is, I was talking to a friend at work. He's like, you should just need to stop looking at stats. And I was like, I know. I just got to do it because I like it. And I like it, so I'm just going to do it. Hopefully, I'm hoping I can get to the point that engagement will be the rating. The actual stats of how much engagement I'm getting. People talking back to me. I got a really great, speaking of engagement, I meant to print it out. But I got a really great email about the podcast. A friend of mine that's a local musician said he's been listening to the podcast. And he's starting from the beginning, doing one of those things. He's got up to version 9, and he says he likes it. And I was like, oh, that's great, because he has not yet got to the point where I feel confident in the podcast. At about 16, the one I had with Dirty Dirty was I remember that being a very pivotal moment for the podcast, for me as a host of the podcast. And then recently, again, I had another pivotal moment during, it was kind of the Crazy Eyes one. That was a pivotal, because I was just, learning different things, listening to other podcasters, listening to the thing, and couple of points. I'm just going to throw out some points that I've learned along the way so far. The power of the pause, I mentioned before, just being able to just not say anything. Just don't worry about filling air, just not say anything. And usually my guest, I look over there because that's where they sit, my guest will fill the space up. They just talk, and maybe they have, it's fine. And then I just try to guide the conversation. So that's one major thing, power of the pause. The newest thing I've kind of taken on is this idea of trying to get to what I'm interested in first. I used to do, when I started off, it was kind of back. I would start the beginning, get to know. But now it's just get into what you're most interested in right away to make it compelling. Because this idea of if in my mind it feels I wander, and I really haven't done it, but if it feels boring to me, it probably is boring to the listener, right? So, and it really hasn't gotten there, but I know I could do better. And so in this newer versions, I just go right for the things I'm most interested in, getting to know the person, maybe something I've read about him or heard about him, or just, the conversation, just really just get into the interesting stuff, and then go back to any backstory stuff. And when I download within the hour of talking to him, if it feels right, but just trying to get to the good stuff right away. And I feel like that's been, enhancing the podcast as well. And the other thing along that same line is if I can find the person's passion, like you could tell in body language and in the way their voice, the actual pitch tone of their voice and things like that. If you hit on their passion, they usually start talking faster, a little bit higher pitch. There's like these things that happen in the process. And then I go, oh, I hit on something, so I just gotta feed this now. It's like the fire. It's like stoking the fire. So those are a couple of things that I've learned in the process of doing the podcast and being a host, which was grad. I started back up the Local Music Challenge. I kind of fell off the wagon with that for a little bit. But I'm gonna try to get back on that weekly Local Music Challenge. The Local Music Challenge is all about downloading some music of local artists. And what I downloaded a couple of things this week. I downloaded the Fame Riot, who I saw at the Ever So Android show, the last show they played at the Crocodile. They played, and then they also played another band called Charms. I'll talk about them in a second. But I chose a song by the Fame Riot this week called Get Lost for the Local Music Challenge. By the time you listen to this video, I'll probably have populated Twitter and all the other places online with a little link to find their music. But I've only posted it once since recording this video on my personal page. But as far as I know, you can only find the album on iTunes at this point. But it's called Dust Funk. And they're cool. I think what I know about them at this point is they're young. They, at one point a few years ago, I guess, they won the Sound Off or got really close to winning the Sound Off thing at EMP during Bumper Shoot, which is all underage musicians as part of this like competition. They have this really techno, it's like a pop rock, techno disco kind of thing. Honestly, I don't find their sound super original, but I do find it super entertaining and super fun. So I'm hoping that at some point in their career, they can take that funness and push it into a place of being more original with the sound. But they got a really interesting and fun stage presence. Right now it does feel, I don't know, I don't want to knock them because it's fun and rad, and I'm super stoked on what they're doing. However, I just think they could do more. I'm feeling they could do much more with what they're doing. So check it out. Go download the CD and do it. Especially Get Lost. That's my favorite track on the CD so far. And or whatever CDs these days. It's all downloaded. I didn't get the CD. But then Charms. I wanted to mention Charms as well. They were on the same show with the Ever So Android. I'll probably use them as my Local Music Challenge next week. But I also want to get them on the podcast because they blew my mind. They were amazing. They were so rad. So check out Charms. I'll tell you more about them. I just want to throw that out there. Charms, so good. 3-piece, keyboard, bass. Just really, I think they fall really good into that visceral rock kind of scene that I'm trying to talk about. Like bands like Dirty Dirty and bands like Ever So Android. Charms right there with that. It's so good. So check that out. Last thing I want to mention is, the last thing I want to mention is the Zim and Arock's tour. We're doing it. We're doing it. What is it? The dates. November 6th, Emerald of Siam in Tri-Cities, Richland, Washington. November 10th. Oh, geez, I can't remember now. It's not in front of me. November 11th, we're down in San Francisco at the Neck of the Woods. And then we're back at Eugene at Cranium Creatures, which is not, it's like an alternative venue. It's not really a venue. It's like some kind of a taxidermy type place or something like that. But a friend of mine lives down in Eugene. So those are our dates. We're going to be wandering our way down, staying at some friends on the way down, probably do some camping once we get into California. Just taking it easy and having some fun. So come and check us out. And that's it. That's what we're doing. The Zim and Arock. Oh, two other things to mention. Two other things. The last show, I didn't mention the last video journal. I was like, did it after the show and I was super tired, but it's like I had an out-of-body experience on that show. That show was amazing. It was so good. It was so good. I'm so stoked to go on tour and do that thing. Looks like we might actually have picked up a show in December at Nectar, so I'll keep you posted about that. December 12th, I think, but keep you posted. And the last thing, before it hits, I have 20 seconds to tell you, I wrote a new song this weekend. Super stoked on it. My goal is to record after the tour, just focus on record new songs and recording an album beginning of next year, some kind of album type thing. So that's it. This is the Zim. This is the Zim's Video Journal, episode 75. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next week. Peace.